1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Hello, internet world. This is Norma Joe. So, I wanted to make this video for a while, but I don't know, now is the time. So, um, I've seen a bunch of videos like this on YouTube. All these different YouTubers talking about basically shit they saw as a child that was in movies or TV or some shit like that. Some shit they saw when they were a little ass kid is like, fucking scarred or scared them or scarred them as they say sometimes because they're a little dramatic. I don't know if this shit scarred me, but this I want to do my own list. Just shit that just fucking shook you up when you saw it as a kid, you know? I probably wouldn't if you saw it now, but when you're in that child state of mind and you're just like, what the fuck am I seeing, you know? Before you get all jaded to life and everything. So, yeah, alright, this is my list. I tried to put on a list from like least to most. And keep in mind, I like weird shit, so a lot of this shit I enjoyed, but I still thought it was creepy and weird, you know, and kind of disturbing in its own way. But, anyways, so number 10, starting from the bottom, is this Grey Gardens shit. So apparently, my friend or somebody told me that Grey Gardens is apparently about like two aging ex celebrities or something like that. Like two ladies who are famous like in the 20s, 30s, or 40s or something like that. And they used to be like starlets in Hollywood or some shit. They're not anymore. And they are old and they're just kind of like living in this mansion that's just crumbling because they don't upkeep it. They just kind of live there, you know? So basically, I was talking just in the last episode of the zombie story of like when you see something as a kid, you're watching a cartoon or something, and you can just tell that something is parodying something else, but you've never seen the thing that they're parodying, but you can just tell anyway. This is a perfect example of that. So there was an episode of the Rugrats called Grey Gardens, and apparently they were parodying that thing. But I didn't know it because when I was little, I didn't know of such things. But it was just weird. It was such a weird episode, and I really liked it. But it was just it was creepy, you know. It was different and creepy, and it just very stood out, you know. It was creepy, not in like a Halloween special type of way. It was just creepy, and like basically it's like this weird shit where fucking, you know, the main baby is with the grandpa, and the grandpa fucking leaves the baby in the car in like a convertible or something, and somehow the baby fucking gets in somebody else's car. I forgot how, but it happens. And then it's like, you know, the car drives away with the baby in it. They go like really far away up some private road, like way in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, it's just they go to this mansion where it's like there's like a fountain outside, but it's all grown over with moss, and it's just like my friend said, just like a crumbling mansion, you know, that's like all dusty. There's no lights in there. Like it's basically like a condemned building kind of, but people live there, you know. And those people adopt the baby. It's like these two little ladies, and they kind of remind me of the triplets of Belleville a little bit. Like, you ever seen the triplets of Belleville? They're like those weird, creepy old like ladies, kind of almost look like the Fates from Greek mythology or something. But anyways, uh, so that was that. Okay, number 9 is the Hey Arnold Bizarro world. So the Hey Arnold had this one Halloween episode. I'm pretty sure it was a Halloween episode where basically Arnold's cousin comes, and his cousin looks just like him basically, but it's just not right. Like it's kind of like a distorted version of him. And I love distortion. Distortion is very weird. Kind of like Coraline a little bit, where it's like everybody's who you know them as but not, or Us. That's a perfect example. Just like it's like people you know but you don't because they're not really the people you know, and shit like that. Anyway, his cousin comes, and his cousin is from out in like fucking the middle of fucking nowhere, like some farm area or something. I don't know where. But it's not New York City. And he comes to stay, and then Arnold goes back to stay with him. And then he goes into the small town, like the little farm town, where there's like nothing around. It's just cornfields, kind of like the cornfield that kid from Twilight Zone wishes people away too. That's how I always thought about it, at least. I know it's probably supposed to be more like Children of the Corn, but you know what? I still haven't seen any of the Children of the Corn movies. I want to, because it's such a classic, like, thing. Children of the Corn is just so fucking awesome, in its own way. I really want to see those movies, but I just never have, I just never have. I just remember going to Blockbuster as a little kid, and, seeing all the Children of the Corn. It was like Children of the Corn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or some shit like that. Anyways, back to the Hey Arnold thing. So basically he goes into this town and it's exactly like his town. All of his friends, everybody he knows has a double that are here, but they're all just weird. They're like really slow and they're all just kind of like hypnotic, and they're just like, they all have really bad teeth, and they're all just like, hey, how are you doing? They're all kind of fucked up. And then at the end, I think they turn out to be cannibals or some shit. They try to eat him, but then or maybe they just try to take him over. Like, it's kind of like a there can only be one type of situation or something. Like, maybe they just want to erase him so that they can take over. I'm not sure, but they wanted to kill him, basically. And Hey Arnold had a couple creepy episodes. Like, there was one where they thought, like, these mobsters were trying to, like, kill some dude, but actually in the end they were just trying to throw a party for him. That was pretty funny. And then there was another episode, which I didn't there was one where they go on a train and they think the train is going to hell. Like, they think they accidentally got on a ghost train that, like, takes you, like, to the underworld. That one was pretty badass, too. And the most badass thing about that episode was, at the end, there's, like, a ghost train song. And it's, like, all bluesy, and it's, like, when the midnight comes around, something, I don't know, it sounds really cool. Like, you gotta look it up, because it's like, even though it's a song from a fucking cartoon, it's, like, legitly kind of groovy, like, it sounds good. But anyway, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Oogie Boogie song, I think, but, anyways, I digress. So, none of those things were creepy, though, but the Bizarro world one, the weird country world, legitly was creepy to me. Okay, moving on. What's number 8? Number 8 is Tales of Terror. Okay, when I was a little kid, we rented Tales of Terror from the Blockbuster or whatever. Or maybe it was from LaVideo. LaVideo is like this independent store, or this video rental place. They have fucking everything. Everything. It's like every, like, obscure fucking shit. I mean, I'm sure there's some things they don't have, but as a kid, it just seemed like there was nothing they didn't have. Like, every fucking obscure shit you could possibly imagine. Like, they fucking had it. And all the movies I wasn't allowed to see. Okay, I want to make a video about that movie From Hell, because that movie is fucking hilarious, and I want to go off on it. But, like, if I was still doing, like, full-length fan fiction parodies and stuff, I would probably do that one, because it's just asking for it. But I don't really do that anymore. But, anyways, there was only 3 movies I remember not being allowed to see. I mean, I probably would have been barred from seeing more movies if I asked it for them. But it was only 3 movies I remember being banned from seeing, which was, Heavy Metal, the cartoon, which is now one of my favorite movies. Pink Flamingos. Actually 4 movies. Because The Cook, what was it? The Cook, The Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, some shit like that. I wasn't allowed to see that either. And then the last one was From Hell. So, which is funny because my dad was totally cool with showing me and my sister Alien when we were, like, in elementary school, which is scarier than any of that shit. But, whatever. So, I still haven't seen all of Pink Flamingos, but I've seen parts of it, I want to see it all, because I fucking love John Waters. He's, like, one of my favorite directors, or whatever. But anyways, yeah. Where was I? What was I even fucking talking about? Oh, right, Tales of Terror. So, right, we got this movie, Tales of Terror, and that's the one that has the little Zulu doll that, like, runs around and has, like, really sharp teeth and, like, fucking... It's funny because the Zulu doll is only, like, this tall, maybe, and he's kind of skinny, so you would think, like, you could just fucking, like, kill him. Like, you could, like, even if he's sharp, you can, like, you don't even have to kick him. Like, if you're worried about him cutting your foot, you don't even have to kick him. You can use, like, a baseball bat or whatever you got, I mean, like... There's, like, some gallon jugs of water right over here. You could probably kill him with one of those. But, anyways, that movie, if I watched it now, I'd probably think it was funny or whatever. but at the time when I was a little kid, I was pretty little because we were still in the place we moved out of when I was 9. So, anyways, um, like, yeah, I just remember like the first episode. In case you don't know, it's an anthology. It's 3 stories, and the first one is like some really forgettable shit about like giant rats or some shit attacking people, and then the second story is about like, actually I don't remember, but it's something about like boys, like brothers. I think maybe they're twins, maybe they're not. I don't remember, but basically one of them, something happens to him. Like, okay, in my memory, this is what I remember, but it's probably totally wrong because it's been so long. But like, I just remember that like yeah, one of the brothers like fell off a cliff or some shit. It's kind of like that movie The Dark, which sucks, but it has Sean Bean, so whatever. Um, like um, like I think he falls off a cliff into the ocean or some shit, and he comes back and he's like bad, which is the same thing that happens in The Dark. But anyways, I just remember like for some reason when the kid came back as a zombie or whatever, demon or whatever he was, I was scared shitless of him. Like I thought that shit was so scary, and then I refused to watch He Who Kills, the little Zulu doll, because I thought, like, I had this idea in my head that like each story progressively gets scarier, and I'm like, oh man, if the second one scared the shit out of me, I won't be able to watch He Who Kills. And then I saw the part where the lady's like sitting on the floor in the end, and she's like stabbing the knife into the floor, and she has like the really sharp teeth, which also fucking scared me. But I just remember laying in bed, I was facing the wall, and yeah, I was facing the wall that night, and I just like, it was dark. You know how like when it's dark and you're laying there in the darkness, you can kind of like you almost can kind of, how you see all that snow in front of your eyes, and you can almost kind of, if you're just staring at a blank wall, you can almost kind of see things in the snow, and I just kept seeing that evil kid, and it fucking scared the shit out of me, man. So yeah. um Okay, number 7 is Pocahontas, the Disney one, which we all know is just so much controversy or whatever. I actually love it in its own way because on YouTube a couple years ago, probably fucking 10 years ago now, but there used to be somebody who took the whole cartoon of Pocahontas and did their own voiceover over it, and it made it into a soap opera basically, like recut it and like muted it and did their own voice for everyone and made them say soap opera things, and it was fucking hilarious. But anyways, Pocahontas, we didn't have that. We had a bunch of Disney movies when I was a kid, but we didn't have that when we rented it. And I remember I distinctly remember my mom and dad laughing and talking shit about John Smith and saying like, oh, of course they made him blonde, and then I remember the part where he ties the rope around his waist and jumps into the ocean to save that other dude, and my parents were fucking laughing. They were like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, I clearly remember that. And they're right, whatever, but it's fucking Disney, what do you want? And anyways, and I dressed up like John Smith when I was 21 years old. I made my own costume. I made my own pants, which was a horrible idea because they didn't fit at all. It was just basically wearing like some horrible felt rags on. But fuck it. And I went into the club, this club that doesn't exist anymore, which is too bad. It was a nice place. And I saw a girl there, an Asian girl, who was dressed like a Native American. Like, I don't know what tribe, no particular tribe, just a stereotype, She had like a headband with a feather on. She had like a little dress from Party City. And I was like, take a picture with me, take a picture with me. And she did. And it was awesome. And we didn't give a fuck. And nobody was woke. And we had a good time. We danced. And I didn't drink because I didn't drink back then. But anyway, it was a gay club. And I think I put $1 in like one of the guys' G-strings or something. Which I'm sure he enjoyed because he wanted to make money. But anyways, where was I? Right, Pocahontas, number 7. So you would say, why the fuck did this freak you out? Okay, and it freaked me out more than these other 3 things. So the reason why is because for some fucking reason, okay, when okay, this is another thing. I watched Pocahontas then when I was probably like 6 or something like that, and then I didn't see the movie ever again until until I was 18 when I saw it in college with my friend. So, which is why I wanted to see it, because it was one of the Disney movies that I had like never seen, like hardly ever. You know, I was like, I had a vague memory, but like, you know, anyways. And when I finally saw it again as an 18-year-old, I finally put it together. But basically, when I was a little kid, I mixed up two scenes in my mind where basically to where I thought that John Smith got killed with not killed, but like I thought he got hurt with a cannonball, which would have fucking killed him, but you know, this is a little kid brain we're talking about. And because okay, this is what I realized, right? Like in the movie, during one of the songs, when all the English people are like setting up for war or whatever, they're like moving they're doing, you know, setting up their weapons and shit, and they have a cannon, and they kind of like roll the cannon like right at the audience, and it, you know, your view as the audience like goes inside the cannonball, so it's like just all black, you know, and they use that as a transition, I'm pretty sure. And but then at the end, John Smith, you know, he, it's so fucking stupid, but he does another ridiculous, stupid, tropey thing where he, you know, the evil guy with the puffy dude tries to shoot the chief, I think is what happens, uh, and anyways, John Smith jumps in front of him and takes a bullet for him, which is just so fucking laughable, but at the time, for some, I know, and so at the end, he's like laying down. He's like in a boat, and they like push him away. You know, not push him away, but like put him into the ocean, you know, and stuff. And he's like laying in a canoe or something, and he's like he's bandaged up, and but you don't see like one single drop of blood because it's fucking Disney. But in my mind, for some reason, I mixed up the canon part with the part where he was laying down and he was wrapped up, and my brain just filled in like all this blood. Like I thought it was like really gore, because when I was little, like little kid, I was horrified of blood, just like completely horrified, and I couldn't take it. So I just pictured all this gore in my mind, like all this fucking horror, like in my mind, like you know, in Day of the Dead at the end they rip Rhodes in half, and you know, all his guts are out and everything. Like basically that's in my mind what happened to John Smith, which is fucking ridiculous. But for I don't ask me to explain it more than that. So all right, moving on. So number six, I think is from Alice in Wonderland, which is also a Disney movie I haven't seen in fucking forever, but I saw it more times when I was a kid. But I'm pretty sure in that movie, they don't have a separate movie for Through the Looking Glass, right? It's all one thing. So basically, there was a part of The Walrus and the Carpenter, and it creeped me out. Like, I can't really explain it, but I just remember, like, the Walrus and the Carpenter part, like, really creeped me out. It was just something about it that was just really wrong. Like, you know how some people say that, like, the part in Pinocchio when all the, like, bad boys, like, get turned into donkeys and shit? Like, I can totally understand why that creeps people out. And yeah, it's supposed to creep you out, and it's supposed to be like, don't be bad, because this is like a nightmare that could happen, you know? But I was actually into the Pinocchio scene. Maybe I saw it when I was a little older or something, I don't know, but I was always down with that scene. Like, maybe it's just my fucking, you know, inner fucking furry or whatever coming out, but it's just like, yeah, I was like, yeah, turn the boys into donkeys. Like, yeah, I'm down with that. Like, it was just, I love the part when the ears come out of his head, and then you see his shadow, and he's like morphing, and then they put him on cages. I was like, yeah, that's fucking badass. Like, that's fucking awesome. I wish I thought of that. But for some reason, maybe I was scared when I was little, but I don't remember it. But I remember being always down with that scene. The part that scared me in Pinocchio is when they get eaten by the whale. I think that was a little scary. But anyways, Pinocchio's not on this list. Um, where was I? Even though it's all about basically fucking pedophiles and trafficking of little children and shit like that, which is pretty fucked up. I mean, isn't that what the fox and his friends do? They're like kidnapping little children, you know, and shipping them around. Anyways, where was I? Uh, What was I talking about again? Right, the Walrus and the Carpenter. The Walrus and the Carpenter freaks me out and creeps me out for reasons I can't really explain and can't remember because I haven't seen it recently. But it was just something about it. Maybe it's like the rhyming or something. Like the whole thing was just really off, and it was just kind of like a like one of those. I know people throw around the term fever dream a lot, but it kind of was like that to me. It's kind of just like it didn't make sense in just a way that's really off and like just very disorienting and just like I feel like there's something wrong here, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, and um like it kind of reminds me of that picture of like that book like where the sidewalk ends and the dog's just kind of like falling off the edge of the world, you know? Like it's just kind of something wrong about it. And then there was this whole thing about like they were eating the clams and I felt really bad for the clams because the clams seemed to like kind of understand what was going on and they were like talking to the clams and I think there was something about the clams being like babies or something like that. And then they were eating them. I don't know. It was something was just really wrong about it. It was fucked up. Um all right, number 5. Number 5 is Watership Down. So oh, Watership Down. I feel like I've seen on YouTube other people put this on their list and it's like, yeah, it's not really for kids, but neither is Tales of Terror, so whatever. Um, like, it's just, I don't know, like, Watership Down, man. Ugh, I have such a love affair with that. But it's cool because basically this is a story, right? So when I was like 5 or something, I had my same friend that I said before was into Ninja Turtles. Like, we would watch movies together. We watched All Dogs Go to Heaven, which was also a little creepy, but I was into it. And we watched Oliver and Company, and we watched Watership Down. But it's just like it's just interesting because I didn't know what like I just remember like I had these dreams later where it was like I would just see these rabbits, and the rabbits had red eyes, like demonic red eyes, and they were like on a background that was kind of the background. It wasn't like a background, like a picture. It was like the rabbit was just kind of floating on wallpaper, and like it was all very surreal, and there was blood like dripping. It was like really creepy shit. It was like there was scratch marks on the ground that were bloody, and like there was just blood trickling, and like it was all just real freaky shit. And I was like, then way later, I think when I was like more like 10, I just remembered it randomly, and I asked my mom like, what was that movie I watched like with my friend like hell long ago that had like rabbits but it was all bloody? And she's like, oh, Watership Down. Which of course is funny because now as an adult, it's like, yeah, once you've been exposed to Watership Down is just one of those things that's just kind of like a portal you go in and it just like it you always remember it. And anytime anybody ever says bloody rabbits, you're just like Watership Down. You know what I mean? Like or violent rabbits or some shit. Like it's just like Watership Down. Like it's just iconic and it's just like I fell in love after that. I read the book. That's the only book that I've read like 3 times because I just was in love with it so much. It's such a nice good read and just I can't explain how good it is. I also read The Plague Dogs, but The Plague Dogs is more like an average book. Like it's good, but it's not great. Like Watership Down to me is great. Like it has everything. It has like the folk element. It's just so fascinating how it's like The Plague Dogs is about all of England freaking out. But it's more like I feel like The Plague Dogs is more like rumors or something. It's like how like these 2 dogs like fucking make all of England go fucking crazy, you know? But Watership Down is like it could be happening right now and you never know it because it has nothing to do with humans. Like it takes place beneath the human world and it's just like a story that completely takes place in the natural world that could be happening at any moment, you know? And it has short chapters, it's super easy to read. They have like really cool characters. Each one is distinct and you just fall in love with them. You know each one and they have like their own folk like he goes in he's like I feel like it's almost like a more accessible Tolkien, because now that I've read Fellowship of the Ring and I read some of The Hobbit before and stuff, like Richard Adams, he just does that world building where it's like the rabbits have their own language and there's a glossary in the back of like words the rabbits use to mean this and that thing, and it's like they have their own mythology, and like when they're on the road like traveling, they like, they settle down for the night, and then they're like, oh, have the storyteller tell us a story around, our little, temporary like hiding place or whatever. You're gonna tell us a story about our ancient rabbit like hero or whatever the fuck. So it's just like, I can't explain how much I love it. It's just like, it's just great, it's just great. uh it's like one of those things you're like, I think like there's some things you become a fan of, and they're just kind of like, yeah, I really like that. Like how I was talking about like Metal Gear. I love Metal Gear. I love it. It's just really, it's just so cool. Like it's just like, yeah, everything about it is kind of awesome. But it's not like a part of me. Like I feel like Watership Down is like legit like a part of me. Like it's just like it embeds itself within you. I don't know. Like anyways, that was more of like a gushing than anything. But yeah, yeah. I had dreams about that movie for years. I mean, I think 5 is probably a little young to be watching all that, but hey, fuck it. I'm glad I did, because if I hadn't, then I might have never got so into it. Anyways, alright, number 4. We're getting really into the weeds now, okay? We're getting into the real shit that fucked me up. Okay, so number 4. Number 4 is this thing I saw. This weird shit that I saw. It was a really long time ago. My parents had the TV on, and they were like in the other room or something, and I was just looking at the TV, and like, it was just kind of like, okay, like I was really little, because I was kind of just in the mode of just like absorbing everything. It's not even like I wanted to watch something particular. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm just observing everything, like, what is this? What is this? And I looked at the TV, and it was just some weird shit. It was a puppet. It was like it wasn't puppets like hands, it was like a stop motion movie, I think, or something. But it was not for children. It was, okay, now that I have known more things in life, I'm pretty sure that they were putting on a production of Payachi, but I didn't know that at the time. Like, all I saw was this, okay? You have to imagine, blank slate, like, little kid, like 6 years old or some shit. And this is what you see on the TV, right? It's like this little, like, claymation or something, or, stop motion type of world. And so it's not cartoon, but it's not live. And, like, you see these clowns, right? And there's like a laying couch, like, kind of like one of those Roman style couches, like you see Cleopatra laying on or whatever. That was like, oh, and the whole background I think is kind of like a theater. So it's almost kind of like they're on their own little stage, but it's just in the background, you don't see much. I think you just see kind of like a curtain in the back. And then you see this like laying couch, and there's a clown on it, a female clown. I don't remember knowing how it was female, but I just remember thinking like, that's the female. And then the male clown comes over, and the female clown is like laying on the couch, and she's like dead. Like, I didn't realize she was dead at first, but then they started showing, like, they showed her hand, like close up of her hand, and like blood was dripping off it. And then you see like underneath the laying couch, there's like a pool of blood. And I told you, like, already, like, blood freaks me out. And anyways, so yeah, then I'm like, what the fuck, like, she got killed or something, and then she's just laying there, and I think she had, like, I don't know, I can't remember, but they made her, I mean, I'm sure if I saw it now, I would think it would silly. I think maybe she had, like, X's fries or something, but it had to be more than that, because I just remember her dead, like, puppet clown face was really freaky. And, like, the male clown came over, and he, like, saw she was dead, and he, like, started crying. And the music is just going in the background, like, I don't remember, but it was just, I was just like, what the fuck am I seeing? Like, things like this exist? What is this? This is for adults. Like, what, And, but yeah, they used to have things like Masterpiece Theater and shit like that, and the intro to that kind of freaked me out, too, because it was, like, kind of like those Edward Gorey-ish looking drawings. There, I just remember this lady was like, huh, and she had, like, this handkerchief, and the handkerchief blew out of her hand and was, like, blowing, and like, yeah, I used to love the intro to Masterpiece Theater. I should look that up after I finish this, see if I can find what I remember. Where was I? Alright, number 3. Ren and fucking Stimpy. And right now, as an adult, I really like Ren and Stimpy. I like how fucking weird it is, even though sometimes they're a little too gross. But when I was a kid, I was scared by Ren and Stimpy, and they used to play it, like, just along with all the other cartoons. Like, they just play, like, friendly cartoons, like Cat Dog or whatever. But then they would have Ren and Stimpy come on, and I guess they thought, like, oh, it's all good, it's all for kids. And a lot of people I've heard, like, they did watch Ren and Stimpy as a child, and they thought it was funny, just like any other cartoon. But for me, that shit scared me. I don't know, it was just too much for me. Like, I think, all the close-ups, like, all the, like, really grisly, like, gruesome shit, like, all the, like, type of shit, like, it just freaked me out. It was too much. And, like, now I can appreciate it. It's like, wow, yeah, this shit is, like, a fucking trip. But when I was a little kid, I wasn't into trips, And, it was just fucking too much, and everything, it always seemed dark. Like, it always just seemed like something bad was going on. Like, I remember there was this fucking stupid episode where Stimpy, like, farted, and then he took his fart to be, like, his child, but he rejected his child, so the fart left, and then he was looking everywhere for his fart, and he was asking everybody, and he had, like, those big watery eyes, you know how they do it? He's like, please help me find my son, and shit, and everyone's just like, I haven't seen him, and this really sad music was playing, and then, like, in the end, I think his son came back, but it was just, like, it's just stupid shit like that. They just take, or like, I think there was another one where he's like sticking boogers underneath a desk or something. But it's just like, they take the stupidest fucking bullshit and somehow make it like really sad and dramatic. And I remember there was another one where like, Stimpy went outside with wet hair in the snow, and it's just like, he almost died or something. I don't know. They just had a way of taking like mundane shit and like, see, that's the funny thing, it's almost kind of like an inverse Looney Tunes, because Looney Tunes will take shit that is super serious, like Nazis and bombs and getting shot in the face and shit like that, and make it silly and lighthearted. And like, you know how many times they fucking die in Looney Tunes and like get fucked up, like blown up and shit, and nobody cares because it's Looney Tunes. It's just like, haha, it's just silly, it's fun, like you can fall off a cliff and get in a huge car wreck and nobody cares because everybody's fine. But, like, Ren and Stimpy's almost the opposite, where it's, like, mundane, simple things, like, happen that's not a big deal at all in the real world, but to them, it becomes, like, a huge deal, where they're just making these, like, distraught faces, and they're just crying, and, like, they're just, like, they kind of have these reactions as if they're, like, going off heroin or something. Like, it's just kind of, like, weird shit. And, like, anyways, I'm going on and on, but, like, for example, like, there could, like, I don't know if there's an episode like this, but this is just me thinking randomly, like, there could be an episode of Ren and Stimpy where, like, say, like, Ren has, like, a fucking, like, candy bar or some shit, and he's, like, so obsessed with it, and, like, so, like, looking forward to eating it, it's, like, all he's thinking about, and then the candy bar, like, he accidentally drops it behind the stove or some shit, and he can't get it, and it's, like, the end of the fucking world, like, and it's just so dramatic. Like, I could totally picture that. Like, that's the type of shit that would happen. But anyways, I'm not, being concise. So, there is one episode of Ren and Stimpy that is on this. It's not just Ren and Stimpy in general, okay? There's one particular episode that fucked me up. And once again, it has to do with blood and body horror, which you'll see is a theme. Especially when you get to the number 1 slot in this list. So, basically, there was one episode where they're at the beach and they're seeing all these, like, buff dudes running around with their fucking little, like, Hollywood bodies, I guess, or whatever. And Ren is really sad. He starts fucking crying and doing all this fucking, oh my god, my life is over, and shit like that bullshit, because he's like, I'll never have a body like that, oh my god, I might as well just kill myself now, and blah, blah, blah. He's really sad, because he can't be big. And then Stimpy says, oh, well, why don't you take some of my fat and just transfer it into you, and somehow that will make him buff. Like, okay. But anyways, I just remember that they were like, okay, we're gonna put some of Stimpy's fat into Ren. And so they, like, put them on these operating tables, and you don't see anything because the surgeon is like, it's one of those deals where like the surgeon's back is to the audience and he's kind of blocking everything, you know? You just see like their feet sticking out on the side, I think, or something, and the like light, you know, the Jacob's ladder type of light above, you know? But I just remember that, you know, he's grabbing like scalpels, he's grabbing scissors and shit like that, and you see like blood spray up, and it's like, it sprays up, you know, blood sprays up like a fountain, like it's supposed to be funny. And like, I think maybe you see them sucking out fat or something, I don't remember, but it was just, to me, it was just horrifying. I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck am I seeing? Like, I almost felt like you know, as a little kid, I felt like I was seeing something like Jacob's Ladder or some shit like that, or like Black Hawk Down or some shit. I was like, I'm not supposed to be seeing this. I'm not supposed to be saying this is fucked up, you know? And, yeah, I was, Ren and Stimpy, I couldn't do it from then on until I was old enough, you know? I feel like, still, I feel like Ren and Stimpy is more like for teenagers, you know? Maybe like in the 12, you know, once you get into middle school, maybe, because when you start getting into middle school, you start wanting edgier shit, you know? But still, I don't know, man. Anyways, so, alright. Number 2. Number 2 is a weird one, but it scared me for some reason. Maybe it shouldn't be at number 2, but I feel like it should be, because I really, like, I don't know, it just fucked me up. So, there was this one episode of, what is that show? Animaniacs, I think. It was either Animaniacs or something. Yeah, it was Animaniacs, I remember, because it was, you know, those 3, siblings, like the puppy creatures, whatever they fucking are. And the middle one, the one that I liked the most, he had like the blue shirt and I think a red hat or something like that, and he talked like one of the Beatles or some shit like that. And I haven't seen the new Animaniacs, kind of want to, but I haven't. But anyways, the middle one, there was some shit, and I'm probably remembering this wrong, because once again, I was like 6 or 7 years old, but like, basically what I remember is that, you know, in one of their little skits in the show, they were at, like, carnival or something like that, and the carnival was kind of creepy. You know how carnivals can be kind of creepy, you know? And, the middle brother, he was trying to do some contest where basically you fucking eat a bunch of meatballs or some shit. Like, you have to eat a big-ass pile of meatballs or some shit. And, like, he was to the last meatball, and the like carnival barker or whatever, whoever it was like, and I just remember it was really creepy because in my memory, okay, this is how I picture, like, you know, I'm probably wrong, but this is how I picture it, is that, like, he was in, like, this tent, like, this carnival tent, and it was, like, all dark, and it was kind of just, like, the one spotlight on him, and, like, on this meatball on a plate, like, in front of him, and the carnival barker, whoever it was like, go ahead, eat it. And he's just like, I can't. And they're like, why not? And he's like, because if I eat it, I'll die. And I was just like, what? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you'll die from eating a meatball? Like, that can happen? And then it just really freaked me out, because I was just like, wait, what do you mean? Like, if you eat too much of something, you can die? Like, and it just made me think about that, like, for a long time. I was just like, what? Like, wait, what do I have to be careful about? Like, is that real? Like, do I have to be careful about eating too many things? Like, what else can I kill? What else can kill you? What else do you have to be careful of not eating too many of, or you'll die? Like, I really took the shit seriously, you know? But, anyway, yeah, I miss the days when cartoons could be, like, kind of creepy. Like, even cartoons that were like, no, it's good, made for little kids, you know, all these cool Gen Xers with their punk and their fucking rock and roll and shit were making cartoons for us, and they made them a little fucked up, and I miss that shit. That shit is good. I like how the creepiness could be in there. But, alright, time for number 1, baby. Number 1. The number 1 fucking cartoon that fucked me the fuck up when I was little. And I wasn't that little. I think I was about 11 when I saw this one. But still, this shit got to me like no other. And I was pissed. I was freaked out, and I was pissed that this happened, okay? Because this just really fucked with me. So, basically, I'm pretty sure it was this show, Batman Beyond. Then on Saturdays, I used to do my homework, my weekend homework, to, you know, it wasn't Saturday morning cartoons, like, it wasn't super early in the morning, because I could never fucking get up that early. But it was around, like, 10, 11, I think. They would have, like, all these cartoons. They would have, like, not X-Files. They would have X-Men, the teenage X-Men, which I kind of hated a little bit, because I felt like everyone was an asshole. I remember really hating Kitty Pryde for some reason. I don't know why. I thought she was a little bitch, but I don't remember why. And I also hated Rogue, but I hated Rogue for the same reason that I hated Caitlin's Way and, Avril Lavigne, where I felt like it was just kind of like a corporate normies idea of, like, what a weird girl was, and as a weird girl myself, I was kind of offended by it, you know, I'm like, that's not how we are! Stop trying to make us like that! But anyways, but Rogue is actually kind of hot. I mean, she looks a little bit like, Luann's mom from, King of the Hill, you know? But anyways, whatever. So, after that, it was Batman Beyond, and Batman Beyond was like, it was all they were just so weirdly drawn and square. They had really square-looking hands and stuff like that, and I don't remember paying attention to that show very well. Like, it was kind of always on in the background. But, anyways, there was this one episode where there was this dude, and this dude, I don't remember what his theme was, but anyways, he was some bad guy, you know, and he had a red line down his back, and because the cartoon wasn't drawn very well, or, you know, I can't say it wasn't drawn very well, but it was just in its own style, you know, and he had a red line, and it kind of looked like a tattoo or something, right? But no. Apparently, this red line was supposed to be a scar, and the scar was, like, all the way down his back, like, back of his, like, neck, all the way down, right? And so he was explaining to, the young Batman, or whoever the fuck he was, how he got this scar, right? How did I get these scars? Nah, this is way before that. He didn't talk like that. He didn't have a villain voice. He was just, like, very, like, yes, this is what happened to me. Like, he talked like that. And he had a shaved head, that's what I remember, but I don't remember anything else about him. Anyways, shorter than the story is, like, he was a fucking big game hunter, and he went into the fucking jungle, and he was hunting a panther, and apparently he had already shot the panther, and the panther, like, he thought the panther was, like, dying, you know? He was just like, yeah, I got the panther, you know, and shit like that. And, I clearly remember him saying the words, the panther was wounded, and I was arrogant, or I was cocky, or something like that. I don't remember. Well, apparently I didn't remember it. I didn't remember it distinctly, but he said something like that. And, anyways, so he said I was careless. That's what it was. He said the panther was wounded, and I was careless. So he's, like, in the jungle, right? He's, like, hunting this panther, and then all of a sudden, you just see the panther, like, like, come at him like that, and it's, like, you know, like, it makes that panther growl and everything, and it, like, tackles him, right? And, but then, after that, you see him in, like, once again, this fucking operating room, but this one is way worse, okay? So, he's in this operating room, and he's, like, on his, like, belly, and you just see, like, this, like, you don't see him right away, you just see, like, this silhouette on the wall, and he's, like, I want to demonstrate, okay, he's, like, that, like, you just kind of see this much of him, right, and he's, like, on the wall, and his hands are up, like, I remember him being like this, like, his hands are up like this, you know, and he's all screaming and all this shit, it's, like, a fucking, like, horror movie thing. But anyways, it's just all you see is just, like, this blank wall with, like, this silhouette of him, like, screaming and doing this shit with his hands. And then the surgeon is, like, back there, and you see the surgeon with, like, a little handheld buzzsaw and shit like that, like, just buzzing his back, like, fucking cutting him open. And every time the surgeon does something, he, like, starts screaming again, and he was just like, yeah, my back was broken in 5 places, and the surgery was excruciating, and I don't know why the fuck they thought it was okay to do spine surgery when somebody's awake, because I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work like that. I mean, like, the spine is, from my adult understanding, the spine is one of those things where it's not just, like, a leg or an arm where you can just set it. Like, a spine is more like one fuck up and you're, like, you're done, like, you're totally paralyzed. So I don't think, I mean, hey, don't come at me and say, oh, actually, it is real. Like, that really could happen in real life. Because fuck it. Anything could happen in real life, bitch. I don't, I'm so fucking jaded at this point. So don't even come at me trying to tell me that, okay? But when I was 11, okay, that shit. Oh, and also then after that, you actually see him because they show him like from the front. You don't just see his shadow. Like you see his shadow at first, and you see him like the dude like buzzsawing his back and shit like that. Um, but then you see him from the front, and then yeah, it's just fucked up. Like the whole thing is fucked up. And when I was 11, I think I was doing my homework, and I was just like, and like I had that feeling. Like you ever have that feeling where you see something really fucked up, like especially when you're like younger and it's kind of you're not used to it yet. Because when you're an adult, I feel like you're kind of used to everything. But when you're a kid and you're just kind of like you're not used to seeing like fucked up shit yet, and like, hey, maybe some people are, okay, whatever, but I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to people like me. Anyways, and you just kind of get like this head rush, like you just feel all the blood like kind of like rush to your head but out of your face, and you just kind of like freeze, and you kind of just like can't move for a second, and you're just like it's just your whole world just kind of does like this, and you're just like you enter a new world, like you enter a new state of life. There's no going back, and anything can do that to you, like anything, I feel like, and it's kind of just a natural part of life, but it's just like you cross that threshold and there's no fucking going back. Like you're just, because a second ago you were living in a world where you never thought about that before, and now you think about it, and now you'll always think about it forever. And you'll never, it might not be at the front of your mind forever, but it'll always be in there, and it will never go away, like until you die, like, and maybe even follow you after death. I don't know, nobody knows, but yeah, it's just like that was just one of those experiences for me, like it was just kind of like, yeah, like I just felt like my whole world like shift. Not in a huge way, in a little way. I'm not saying this is one of the most important fucking things that ever happened to me. Like, give me a fucking break. But I'm just saying, like, keeping with the theme, seeing shit that you know, that, like they said, like, not fucked you up majorly, like, it's being a little dramatic, but, just stuff you saw as a kid that just rattled you, that just rattled your fucking world, and that's like the definition of that to me. Like all the other shit on the list is kind of like, oh, that was scary, or oh, that was weird, but this is the only thing that really like took my whole worldview and kind of just like what is that called, tectonic plated it, like just fucking jolted it, and you can never go back, like that's just, it's one of those things, and it's part of life, and you just move along. And then you get hit with more shit like that later on, but then you're just like, well, I kind of saw this before, but it's nothing like your first time, man. Nothing like your first time. Not that that was my first time ever seeing something like that. I feel like I had before seen something like that, but that was like the first, for some reason. I don't know why, and I don't think anyone can ever tell. That was just the first time it really like stuck. Like it really, like I internalized it, and I was just like, oh shit, this is the kind of world I'm living in, you know? Anyways, that's all.